All right, well, Matt, thanks for joining me here today, man. It was great talking to you last week. I know, and kind of prepping for this. I always enjoy those conversations. I'm always careful not to, get into the weeds because we get off those calls. I'm like, man, I wish I would have asked him that when it was actually recording. So, thanks for scheduling some time and meeting with me here today. Um, I'm gonna just kind of jump right in, man. So we had the privilege, obviously, of printing this book of yours, and it's a fascinating topic. I love what you've done. I love the title of this book, like Save Your Company, Don't Feed the Beast. Great, by the way. The Employer Healthcare Success Formula. So I guess what I want to do is you started off, and then I'll let you kind of, roll with this. But, you started off with Merrill Steele,
Mhm.
and then you had your accident, which was crazy, by the way. I was reading that, initially. And what struck me too, and I wrote this down, is you said, God, what is it? Where did I put this? This actually happened. This
Yeah.
actually, and I was thinking like, that's exactly what I would think. Like,
Mhm.
holy smokes, what do you do now? But I guess I'll let you kind of roll into this. But my fascination, where I want to kick this off, is you had this accident. You're working at Merrill Steel, and then where was that transition where you finally decide like, there's got to be a better way to handle,
Mm.
the insurance situation.
Yeah, awesome. No, it's great to be with you, Steve. I appreciate you having me on. That was an interesting moment as I not only was frustrated to see my restored tractor, rolling into the river, which is sounds kind of stupid, right? Imagine you have to go tell your family that. Things got a whole lot worse when it ran over me, literally ran over me backwards. So I wasn't on it at the time. A lot of people think I was on it and it flipped. I wasn't on it. I was behind it. And but as I went through this violent experience, which seemed like, I don't know, it was like a blackout of a few seconds, but rolling down a 40-foot bluff, I literally did say, this actually happened. I remember saying that out loud, which is weird, right? Why would you say that by yourself? But I did. I did. And so then the pain started from there. But thankfully I'm still here. I probably shouldn't even honestly be here. 99 out of 100, I probably am not here. I'm paralyzed or something. So maybe I can start on that note, is I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So when you were going through that, which is traumatic, but it's interesting how things put people on different courses, you know.
Mhm.
So for you, clearly there was the insurance issue. I'm just interested because, for you working, for Merrill, and then you have this incident happen, and now
Mhm.
you're on this, we talked about last time when we were just discussing, it's just amazing, like the trajectory and how
Right.
things happen. But it's fascinating that you decided to tackle this the way that you did.
Mhm.
So where was the kind of the moment where you like, first of all, there's got to be a better way? Because most people just tolerate it, right? For
Right.
me,
Right.
insurance is something where it's almost like the tax situation. It's so complicated that people just throw their hands up and like whatever. It is too much.
Mhm.
So, I love how you kind of looked at it and thought there's got to be a better way. But I'm fascinated by the opportunity. It sounds like, with Merrill, whatever, to give you the opportunity to say, like, you know what, go see if you could fix this.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
very interesting. It's like, take me through that journey.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that scrapper fighter instinct, if you will. I mean, I ever since I was young, I was a farm boy, so it's kind of figure it out kind of thing. But my parents divorced when I was 3, and then I had a lot of experiences through that. So I think I maybe learned to be a little bit of a scrapper early on. And so, but early in my career, I had worked for a Toyota supplier, and watched them come in and fix a big plant. It wasn't even theirs, but they knew that their suppliers affected their quality and their cost. And so then I got recruited to the big Toyota flagship facility and learned root cause problem solving. So I learned, had the passion, had the scrapper part, and then learned the methods, if you will. So I've carried that with me. And so I think my ER experience, right? And so this was before we had fixed our health plan at Merrill Steele, by the way. And me thinking nothing would happen, I signed up for the really high one. I forget, my deductible was like 8 or 10 grand, and it was, and so here I'm an interesting mix of frugality and extravagance. And so I'm like really frugal, but then I'll like buy the best of something and so forth, and that so that it'll last. But I so I almost embarrassingly, Brett, I was like, do I really need to go to ER? And I mean, I'm can't afford it, da da da. And so I should have went to ER, but my daughter drove me in. And I think it started to hit me, right? So I had certainly heard a lot of stories about healthcare, but now I was living it. And she's studying to be a nurse, so she drives me up, puts me in a wheelchair, and I'm just like every minute the pain is setting in, right? It's like getting worse. You can hardly move, and I'm sitting there at the desk. The lady hands me, this is just kind of the callousness that maybe has developed and the insensitivity. She hands me a clipboard. First, she doesn't even look at me for like it seemed like forever, like a minute, and then she hands me a clipboard. And I'm like, ma'am, I just got ran over by a 4,000-pound tractor. I could be, everyone tells me I could be bleeding inside. I think I need to, you know, be on the table getting lit up. So they lit me up with CTs, which are like 100 X-rays in one. I'm something like that. And this very hard table, by the way, this very cold metal hard table. But thankfully, I didn't have any internal injuries. But so I didn't have any procedures done. I just had the scans, and I spent the night, and the bill was just under 20,000,
Wow.
which caused me to have to drain my HSA account and a good portion of my savings. And they were calling me for collections about a week later. And there were little things, I mean, in the book, in the story, I mean, so the PT, the physical therapist, stops by, and he's like, I have to do this, Matt, I'm sorry. And it took like 4 minutes, and the bill, I forget the exact number, was in the book something like $380. And as I tried to dispute that with the billing service, which was waiting on hold for close to 45 minutes, all this
Oh yeah.
rigmarole, and they acted like I was the wrong one. I said, I didn't get any PT. Da da da. So those kinds of experiences, I think. So with that background I described, yeah, you're right. Like we could just accept it, just, take the punch in the gut and say, this is the way it is. But I've always, for some reason, have been wired to say, we're going to do something about this. And so then I had this health plan in front of me that was already suffering for the last 5 years. And so it's certainly kind of fun and easy to say now, yeah, we fixed that thing and we did all these great things. I can tell you when we started, we had no idea. We had no idea that we were going to affect anything. We were just willing to try.
So what was the aha moment when you're going through the plan in particular, right? So it's interesting because your experience is exactly what most people deal with. I mean, I think everybody has examples of that in their life. I can remember, when my wife was in the pregnant at the time and going through all that, and we started getting these bills
Yeah.
for, yeah, I think it was like a fruit basket thing when she was laying there, and the numbers were just staggering, but you typically don't pay
Right.
attention to it. And then you take that times 100 when you have an actual accident or an injury or an illness. I guess what was the moment where you're looking at that plan and you started to kind of go into detective mode, I guess, as it were. I'm always interested where there was a moment where you must have been like, you know what, there's got to be a better way, and I'm going to find it.
There was, so right after that, and ironically, I missed a week of work, which sounds crazy. It almost sounds like the injury wasn't that bad. It was that bad. It somehow just was able to get around. But ever since that time, even laying in bed and healing, I'm the kind of person I think too much. There's probably folks out there laugh, like me, but I was up like at 4 today because I was thinking too much, and
Yeah.
sometimes that isn't always the best thing. But I started to analyze. I said, "What's this look like? What's this picture look like? Why are there so many problems?" One of the problems is that the industry has designed this in a way that has completely shut down shopping. Right? So you go and you shop here, and the power of shopping, by the way, is to walk away. If we don't like the restaurant, we go somewhere else. If we don't like the TV price at Best Buy, it's not the Best Buy. Okay, we go somewhere else. Same as the car lot, et cetera. That's our power. So if you're in network and you have no power to walk away, and you don't see the price, and you don't see the quality, there's no shopping happening in those scenarios. So I started to realize that, and it was kind of a silly vacuum example. And then I realized that this was off the company radar. I had taken on supporting the custodial team, and our industrial vacuum broke, and I was spending 2+ hours filling out this purchasing report of having to justify a $500 vacuum. And that very morning, I had signed off for our stop loss insurance on the top side of our self-funded health plan for about 700,000, and all I needed was the CFO's nod. And so I
Wow.
started to realize that our second or third biggest expense was completely off the radar. So business owners out there, right? If you could save 30% off your second or business or third business expense, highest one, and make it better. It sounds like I'm exaggerating. It sounds like I'm making up stuff, but that's what we did, and that's what many companies are starting to do today.
So I'm going to put these on because I'm getting old. I'm getting old. But
Yep.
so there's interesting, like Keith Smith, right, who wrote your foreword. I want to just read this because I thought it was great. He just says, currently, third party buyers of medical services are the consumer that medical businesses and physicians fear, not patients. Therein lies the problem and the solution. So, my question to you is, and when I'm talking to someone like you, it seems like you've figured out a problem that, you know, I would say, I shy away from saying all, but most people have,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to businesses, small businesses. It's so complicated. Like, what is that magic formula? Like, if I'm running a small business, right, what would you recommend that I do to kind of get on the right path or stop, down this road of just
Mhm.
blindly paying these companies? Like, what is
Right.
how does one rectify that?
I think so from a self-funding or level funding perspective for the plan, there does have to be kind of a minimum number. So depending on how small the business is, just to kind of be open. But we can work with fairly small numbers. So there's that caveat. But I would say, in short, the quick answer to your question is to treat healthcare as a purchase like you would any other business purchase. I remember looking back, and my impressions of healthcare was kind of like, it's healthcare. The only, if people get hurt or sick, that's when you pay more. If people don't get hurt or sick, you pay less. But when you start looking at the prices of what you're buying unknowingly, because you see them afterward, or even price variations, how could one hospital be 40 grand for a hip replacement, another one be 152 grand for the same thing? And how could free market providers do that for 17 grand and give a 90-day warranty? If the hospital messes up, they charge you again.
Hmm.
So when we start kind of becoming wise consumers, businesses are very good. And I jokingly say in the book, have you ever seen that? I've actually sent these embarrassingly, and there's nothing wrong with this, but all those folks, okay, we're trying to, we're getting toward the end of the year. If you've got extra folders or paper clips or staples or things in your desk that are not using, they're just, bring them back to the storeroom. We're going to be wise spenders here and so forth. And so, maybe we'll save a few $100s in that effort. Yet we've got this huge expense at Merrill Steele. It was over $5 million, and we weren't looking at what we were spending, and we didn't have any kind of a medical strategy. We were self-funded, so we had looked at the way we funded, but if you don't look at the way you're spending, then you haven't done anything. You're still rolling the dice. And so I think the skills are out there. The skills are out there. These logistics departments, these purchasing departments, CEOs are very savvy at buying and selling, and it just needs to be on the radar, and you need to start actively managing your healthcare like you do every other area of the business.
So, do you get, like, I guess, walk me through that a little bit. Like, so let's say that you are, because this is what you guys do, correct? For
This is
companies.
Yeah, so I think he kind of found me and I found him, but a gentleman by the name of John Barron, we co-founded a company called Self Fund Health. We feel like
Right.
we figured it out, and very few or almost no one has. So we said, why don't we go and help other employers do this? There's a huge need, as you indicated, especially in Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, are you able to do this? Is it a Wisconsin thing, or this is a nationwide thing?
it's going to grow, I think, pretty fast. But right now we are Wisconsin focused just to get our roots. And so we are a health plan. So in short, we are just like you would go out and buy another health plan. The difference is that our health plan is actually employer designed and is intended to spend wisely and improve quality in a variety of ways.
Interesting. So do you guys get pushback? I don't know the nuances, obviously. I mean, this is a sophisticated thing, but do you get pushback from like hospitals and doctors? And because I'm assuming that you guys are shopping, right? That's how you're doing it.
That's the theme. Absolutely. Yeah, we shop and we'll shop anywhere, by the way. We're not against anyone. We'll shop anywhere. We just want the price to be fair and the quality to be high and the price to be known. Yeah.
Interesting. So do you guys receive pushback on that from, because they're I'm sure these places are mostly used to nobody shopping, right? It's
I
like
would
you're
say we receive a lot of probably indirect, nothing direct, really, but indirect in that they have an incredible amount of money, which is employees' premiums, by the way, that they're paying, going to lobbying, 700 million, I think it was last year, or 20, yeah, 22. So we don't have that. We have all sort the whole thing has been designed to not shop. So we're against every barrier possible, including the employer plan. So even if you've had a complete array, which we do in Wisconsin, and it's growing fast, a complete array of surgery centers and imaging centers and direct primary care and so forth. If the employer plan is not influenced, if you don't restructure that, you won't, there'd be no incentive for members, which is employees and their dependents, the belly buttons, no incentive for members to shop because they'll say that's out of network.
yeah,
So what we do is we bolt on, we keep everything that the employer and the employees had before. We say you have all your old choices, all your old deductibles, and so forth. But then we bolt on this new column that says, guess what? This is way better primary care. Instead of 7 minutes, you get 30 or 60. You can call them, you can text them. And then all beyond imaging, surgery, even oncology, heart surgery, even major stuff, you don't pay a penny for that. And that's how high the healthcare costs have gotten because that's how we can give it away. I always like to ask that question. Doesn't that sound crazy? How can the world can you give away a heart surgery? Is because you can get it for 50 and you would have spent 250.
yeah.
And so
Wow,
that's how you can give it away.
wow, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Now I know you're doing a lot with the speaking, and I mean, obviously, this has gotten on people's radars because it's fascinating. I mean, you're solving a big problem. I thought this was great too. Like you guys were well, first of all, you guys have been winning all kinds of awards, you and the company, but you're the recipient of this is a 2020 National Employer Purchaser Healthcare Excellence Award. You win this, which was previously won by Disney, Boeing, and Walmart.
Yeah.
That's
Little old me.
pretty.
And yeah. Putting
That's
Merrill Steele
pretty.
on the
That's
map.
pretty incredible, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Family business in central Wisconsin. I mean, in a cool business, one of the largest fabricators, but
yeah.
still, yeah, a 500 employee family business, certainly not a Boeing.
But that's amazing. I mean, really, I mean, you're in huge company there. It's I mean, I
Yeah.
think it just says a lot about what you're doing. You're clearly doing something right, you know, which is
Yeah,
just
that was a pretty cool time in my life that it seemed like the president would walk in and he'd be like, "Oh, I need to get you your own, award cabinet or something." And
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just trying to do good stuff. Same old me, but yeah, it was a very fun time. Still is a fun time.
No, I love it. I hope you guys continue to get the support that you've built. The momentum looks. I mean, it's exciting. I love seeing stuff like this. It's so fun. And we were talking about it. I think, when we spoke the other day, it's fascinating, right? One moment you're doing one thing, something happens, and then your life shifts. And I mean,
Right.
the trajectory that you are on, especially after the book now, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It is. It is fun. I mean, it's hard work, right? I mean, it's not, but getting the invites to speak is something I've spoken in a little bit in nationally before, at like the FMMA conference in Oklahoma. But here I am booked up for Atlanta in January and Wichita in February and Orlando in March and Oklahoma in April, and it just goes on and on. And and so Vegas and Dallas in the summer. And so that's kind of cool. I mean, I'm going to get to meet a lot of new people, and I think there is definitely a hungry crowd to hear how we did it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
No, that's amazing. You've got tour dates. That's what it sounds like, my man.
right, right,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Share the good news, right?
I love it. So take me. I'm going to switch gears real quick and just shift to the book. So there's also an interesting thing. I love talking to people that have authored books because I really believe that everybody it's like a lot of things in life. It's something most people at one time or another want to do. Yeah, I'll write a book, and then there's people that actually go about doing it. So you pulled this off, and it's working very well for you. But like, where was that moment where you decided through all of this, like, you know what, I'm going to write a book?
Hmm. There are probably millions of unfinished books and files out there, right? I mean, so I had gotten this idea probably 3+ years ago, and you would write an email and you'd be like, yeah, that's good stuff. I'm going to throw that in a folder, and I'm going to write this little article, and that's good stuff. But it wasn't a book. It wasn't even close. So I had started kind of dabbling in it. But this past winter, so it would have been last winter, I said, I got to get this done. There's a need out there. There's like no way for people to get educated on this topic, or very little, I should say, not really from the employer perspective. And so I'm pretty hands-on guy. You know, I was a farm boy, and so I taught myself cars. And so I have a 41 Chevy truck,
Oh, nice.
several of them actually in line, but I was close, right? I'm in the last few months, if you will, assembly. And here I am. So I go out to my man cave, and here I am looking at this truck while I'm writing. And I'm like, oh, but I'm like, so I was going out there evenings and weekends, and I would be out there like 10 to 12 hours. I mean, this was over and over and over and over the whole winter, even and beyond a little bit. And I just hammered away. And I said, this is the only way. And then, of course, you have, how do I found you guys, how do I print it? So I chose to self-publish. I think I could have been published. But I chose, and that's worked out really well. I mean, there's really cool things happening. I'm coming up on, I don't know, 800 since July. And then I got invited to a Vegas conference. It's kind of funny things happen, Vegas, Caesar's Palace. I'm not really a Vegas person, if you will. I suck at gambling. But they're like, oh, by the way, we'd like to, we're gonna have 1,000 people, and we'd like to purchase 1,000 copies for everybody. Oh, that's wonderful. So I continue to be surprised of the interest, and yeah, just doing what one person can do, I guess.
No, that's great, man. And you've done a lot. You must be a super organized guy. Because even after we talked, you didn't really bring up, because I didn't ask, I guess, but like, your life is very interesting, and what you're doing, I got to give you props on just everything. I mean, the family that it sounds like you're raising, you have an adopted child, I believe, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you guys
we're
are
foster parents. Yeah.
yeah, and you guys are highly involved in that, and that I love that. My father was an orphan, and actually never got adopted,
Mm.
but so it's kind of a soft spot for me hearing his stories of back in the day. But you've got so much going on, and then you find the time to actually carve out and write and actually finish a book.
Yeah.
So first of all, amazing, congratulations, man. That's super cool. But I guess when you look back on where you are at right now, is there any one moment where you think was the turning point, where like you maybe thought about, you know what, I'm gonna just put this off and not do it? Or was it always just, I'm gonna get this done?
Speaking of the book specifically, or
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, you're dealing with a sizable family, a job, writing a book, and you're involved. It sounds like a lot of different things. It's impressive. It's very impressive.
yeah,
So I'm just, when you decide, okay, now I'm going to layer on top of this, actually writing a book on a fairly complex topic,
very.
man, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I think, I would answer it this way. So I've had lots of lean training, and so I'm very kind of apply that to my life. So taking out all the wasteful activities, and when you fix something, fix it once. I've had lots of time management training at Toyota and so forth, and so just maximizing your time is one. But I'm also wired in a way, I'm motivated. Since I was in the third grade, teachers were putting highly motivated on my report card. I don't know where I got it.
Yeah.
I think part of it is I'm getting older, so I turned 50. I'm not, I'm still buying green bananas, but um, as they say, but I think I would sit down, like when I try to relax, I will literally, I'll start and I'll think of like 5 things I should do, and I get up. I don't sit, so I've kind of got that, almost this anxiousness about me. And you combine that with some lean training, and trying to be efficient and fixing, getting to root cause, fixing stuff once. I don't have 5 repairs of the same thing in the year. I'll fix it. And so, yeah, we do live a very active life, and part of it is just grit, if you will. There's one of the terms, just do it. It's not going to do itself, and you just got to hammer down. And certain things did get missed in that writing process. There definitely was some missed family time where my wife had to pick up, and manage the circus a little bit. So yeah, and but I'm glad it's done. I'm very glad I did it because it's turning into a really cool experience.
Is there anything you would have done differently? Like after going through the process that you would, I guess, kind of make more lean or a more efficient way to do it? Is there anything you would do differently?
Probably not. Maybe not waited so long, but I think the writing, so I think I was kind of pleased with the process. And one thing that many people maybe don't realize is that writing a book is just like teaching, I always used to say, is very developmental because and I always said to myself too, by the way, I don't want to just write one. I don't want to just get it out there and say I want it to be valuable. I want it to be well written. And you can probably tell from the style. I want it to be somewhat fun to read. I don't want it to be like this boring textbook that you put you to sleep every night. I tried to add some humor. I don't know if I'm funny. I pick on my kids, right? I tell them I have great jokes and they say I don't. But I tried to make it, fun to read. And so, because I, as working in HR for almost 25 years, if you can say all you want, but if they don't hear you, you haven't said anything. And so I've always tried to mix that in my message of relating to them or, right, just somehow keeping them listening and getting interacting. And so I definitely tried to incorporate that style into the book.
Yeah, well, I mean, very well done. I mean, it's impressive, and I'm really excited for you. I mean, I think it's a big topic. Is there one thing? So if I'm a company out there, right, and I listen to this or obviously read your book, it's more in depth. But is there one starting point? If someone's like, you know what, I've got to explore this further. I mean, like, what is the first step to figure out like what options are available for a business?
I think great question. Yeah, I think the first step would be to kind of analyze. There's some suggested graphs early in the book, and but start understanding, as I describe it, understanding that's part of the Toyota problem solving. Understand your problem. Understand where you are today. How much total are you spending for healthcare? How much of those are claims? How much of those are fixed costs from others? How much is your advisor not just making from you, but making on your plan? Are people are the is the advisor and the carrier and others making more as your costs go up? If your partner sitting beside you is making more, is it telling you what to do and then making more when your costs go up? You have an alignment of comp issue, right? So just making sure that the folks that are appearing on your team are really on your team, and maybe they're just following old tradition. That happens a lot. But I think you gotta ring the bell and you gotta have a wake up call. And you gotta say, here's where we currently are. And then you can compare that to some standards, such as per employee per year is one standard. How much are we spending on healthcare per employee per year on the plan? And is that 15,000? I've seen one as high as 40,000, which is astronomical. And this entity was a private school, and they were like, "We can't afford teachers," and da da da. And I'm like, "Well, no wonder you can't you can't give raises." And you look at two success stories on the western side of Wisconsin, Rice Lake Schools and Chippewa Falls. Not only did they save a bunch of programs and have good retention and recruiting, they built new buildings and they made their plan better. We're not taking out of healthcare. We're just taking the waste out. We're keeping all the good stuff and making it better. So there are really cool stories that it can impact the overall business, not just the healthcare slice, if you will.
Man, that's great. That's great. I mean, I could talk to you forever about this. This is such a crazy topic. And maybe I will. Maybe I will try to talk to you again.
Sure.
But this was great, man. We're honored to be a part of it. Print the book, and it's fun to watch. I mean, it's my favorite part of being in print. Quite frankly, is just watching whether it's a large scale, small scale, whatever. Like bringing ideas to life is so cool to me.
Mhm.
You get it out of someone's head in a physical form. And so, thanks for letting us be a part of it, and congratulations on all your success. I'm glad you're okay. By the way, you're right. I mean, you got ran over by a tractor for crying out loud. I mean,
Yeah, that's still, I still almost can't think about it, because it could have been
yeah,
so bad. But yeah, here I am.
yeah. Well, you're doing great things, and again, everything that I've read on you and done my little research, it's you're an impressive guy, and I'm honored to have met you here. It's one of my favorite things is getting to cross paths with people that I otherwise would not have, and so it's really an honor, and I'm excited to watch you take this ride, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Seaway Printing has been a great partner. So I shopped around there, as you might imagine, and found the best price and quality. So I certainly look forward to printing a whole lot more books with you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, and thanks so much. I'll definitely be watching you as you continue on this trajectory, and hopefully we can
Mhm.
talk again.
Yeah, sounds good, Steve. I appreciate
All right,
it.
yeah, cheers.